Hi, I'm the Mythology Guy, and I just finished watching Blood of Zeus Season 2. If you want my thoughts on Season 1, I did videos on that, which I guess nobody knows about because everyone keeps asking me to talk about Season 1. I'm like, I talked about it the day after it came out. I'm a little later on this one because it was a busy weekend. But, yeah, what did I think of it overall? I enjoyed it. I'd say I think I enjoyed it about as much as Season 1. This season has way less action than Season 1 does, but it's like I cared more about the characters this season. It's more character development this season. Particularly with the best character on the show, Seraphim, and also with Hades, who's introduced this season. Like he was introduced at the very end of the last season, and it looked like they were going to straight up make him the villain, and he is kind of the antagonist of this season. But you know, they give him a reason for it, which involves his wife, Persephone. I think people are going to be very happy to see Persephone in this show because people love the hell out of Persephone, and I think they did her really well, actually. We even briefly get to see their children. Like, I know everybody loves Zagreus and Melanoe also, briefly. So that's kind of cool to see. Sorry, it's spring. The allergies are driving me nuts. This season does end on a cliffhanger, so, whereas Season 1, you could kind of just watch Season 1 and stop there if you wanted to, this one you can't really do that. There's no way. There's no way with how it ends. And while Hades is basically an antagonist, there is other antagonistic stuff going on. There's some stuff going on with Ares, there's some stuff going on with Demeter, and so on and so on. And so one of the problems I had with Season 1 was sometimes the animation did not look good. There were a lot of times where it was way too stiff. It actually hurt my eyes a little, how stiff and choppy the animation was at times. And in Season 2, we still have that, unfortunately. Sometimes the animation looks great, because I'm sure some of you are going to be like, what are you talking about? Look how good this scene looks. And it's like, yeah, there are scenes that look great. I'm not screwing around with that, but there are times where it looks bad, where a character just stands completely in place and their mouth moves like this. Hello. Like, what are we going to do next? It looks so bad. And times where, instead of like a fluid walk, it looks like a character's just juddering to the other side. It happens. There are times where it looks good, but there are also times where it looks really bad. And it just hurts my eyes sometimes when that happens. Also, there's one scene with really out-of-place CGI, like where the automatons are completely CGI and nothing else in the scene is CGI, and that scene looked terrible. I'm sorry, it looked awful. I couldn't believe how bad that looked. I was like, guys, did anyone look at this before you released it, or were you just out of budget at that point? But yeah, like things I like the motivation for Hades. I actually really, really enjoyed Hades this season. I wasn't sure what I was going to think of him. I thought, okay, they're definitely going to make him an evil guy. But they didn't, actually. They gave a lot of layers to his character, and it was really cool to watch, actually. I'm really invested in him now, and I want him to have a happy ending. Also, we get to see Hestia in action. I enjoyed seeing it. I'm sorry, I really like this swingy chair. I have a weird habit of swinging it around. So I liked seeing Hestia in action. That was really cool. And yeah, they make her pretty badass, which they should. She's one of the first 5 gods. Because I'm looking at my notes, by the way, to make sure I don't forget things I wanted to talk about. And because, Hades is a big part of this, and also, keep in mind, spoilers for Season 1, but we're talking about Season 2. Season 1 ended with Zeus dying and Seraphim dying. We actually get to see both of their trials in the underworld. For people who don't know, when you die in Greek mythology, you're judged by the 3 kings who judge the dead. And yeah, we get to see them like Judge Seraphim and Judge Zeus. And, seeing Zeus be put on trial for his actions is not something I knew I wanted to see, but it was cool to see. So that's cool. I won't spoil how it concludes. Also, when there's one scene I really like where they're panning over the underworld and we see Prometheus being tortured and Sisyphus and Tantalus. Prometheus doesn't make a lot of sense because he wasn't put in the underworld, he was put in the Caucasus Mountains. Also, if this is post-mythology, he should be free at this point, but, maybe when I do an inaccuracy video, we'll talk about that. But it's cool, we also get to see Sisyphus and Tantalus, but then it's weird, I'm not going to spoil who it is, but one character is being tortured the way Loki was tortured in Norse mythology. I was like, wait a minute, why do you have a snake spitting acid down on that's Norse mythology, what are we doing? So that was a little strange. There's this weird scene where, this is in the first episode, so I don't think it's a big spoiler, but someone's trying to break into one of Zeus's rooms, and when they enter the room, all these automatons activate, but then they just jump to the end of the room, and then the automatons immediately deactivate. It's like, oh, I guess security just quits if you made it to the end of the room. Don't you think that's when security would be the most intense? It'd be like, oh shit, he's about to steal the thing he came here to steal. Maybe we should do something. No. Our rule is if he gets past the blue line, he has earned the right to steal whatever the hell he wants. That was so stupid. I don't know what the hell that was all about. I really liked the Judges of the Dead, by the way. I liked how they were done. I like how at one point someone acknowledges, Minos, who are you to judge me? How many people did you feed to the Minotaur? It's like, yeah, very good point. One thing I wanted to address, because I'm sure some people will be confused about it. Hades and his servants use owls a lot in this season, like to spy on people and to look at people. They use owls. And I'm sure there are going to be a lot of people going, well, that's not right at all. Like, owls are Athena's thing. And you're right, owls are Athena's thing, but they're also Hades' thing. Hades was associated with specifically the screeching owl, because while owls, a lot of people consider owls to be wise, don't forget, a lot of people also considered owls to be an omen of death. So, yeah. They did, sorry, I don't know how to talk. Screeching owls were associated with Hades because they were considered a death omen back then. I mean, have you heard of like the Roman Strix, and even like the Aztecs had the Tuzaltotl, and even the Native Americans had the Takamala, was it called? The Takam, whatever. The point is, people were scared of owls back in the day. There's also, well, actually, that's a little too much of a spoiler. Also too much of a spoiler. I'll talk about spoilers in a bit, but first I want to get my kind of non-spoiler thoughts out of the way. Okay, this isn't really a big spoiler. They kind of add to Seraphim's backstory in this, and it's funny because, like, I'm not going to say it feels completely, like, off to his character or anything, but it does feel a little inserted, what they added. It's like, oh, suddenly that was a thing now. Okay. Not sure where that came from, but it's not like it doesn't fit. It fits fine, I guess. But yeah, one thing I like about this show is I do like seeing the gods. This is going to sound weird, but I like seeing the politics of the Greek gods. Like, after Zeus's death, there's now a power vacuum, and so, the gods, it's kind of like in Game of Thrones after Robert Baratheon's death. There was a power vacuum and everyone started trying to seize power. That's what happens here. A lot of the gods start trying to seize power. It's sort of like like a little bit of a discount Game of Thrones version of Greek mythology. And it's a really cool idea. I like it. I like seeing how Hades tries to jump on the power vacuum for what he wants, and what he wants is something you can understand. I like seeing how Demeter tries to think of a way to turn this to her advantage. I like seeing Ares like trying to turn it to his advantage, and I'm sure there's just going to be more and more. By the way, one constant presence throughout this season is Gaia, who, like, they've made Gaia very much a good guy in this, which is interesting. Well, I guess, like, it's fine because they completely changed the backstory of the giants, and they also apparently have completely changed the backstory of Typhon. I mean, I guess spoiler alert, but they literally say in the first episode that Typhon is going to be a thing now. So, okay, like, Typhon's a huge threat to the gods, that makes sense. Especially with Zeus dead, he's the one who defeated him in the myths. But, overall, if you really enjoyed Season 1, I think you're going to enjoy Season 2. If you didn't enjoy Season 1, I don't think Season 2 is going to save it for you. But, I liked it. I didn't love it, but I liked it, and when it ended, I was like, oh man, I wish I could watch more. So that's a good sign, I think. I wasn't like I have been with certain other shows where I'm like, finally, it's done. No, I did want more when it finished. So I think that's a good sign. Animation, not fantastic, but not horrible. So it's very middle of the road, I would say, in a good way. I'd say leaning a little bit more towards the higher stuff. Maybe I'd give it like a 6 out of 10. Because that 6 out of 10 is above average, okay? 7 is not average. 5 is average. This isn't high school grading curve, okay? So yeah, I'd say above average. Maybe check it out. I had a good time with it. We are currently editing an inaccuracy video for Season 1, so you guys will get that soon. And now I'm going to get into the spoilers, okay? 3, 2, 1, spoilers. Well, Hades stabs Heron in the chest, so that's a thing. There's a funny scene where Heron, apparently Zeus fucking is Jor-El now, literally just Jor-El, because he left a place for Heron to insert like a ring and then go into a hidden chamber where Zeus projected his consciousness with all of his knowledge. It's like it's literally the Jor-El thing. Heron's story in this is okay. He's, like I said, he's not as interesting as Seraphim, but he's fine. He goes and he gets the sword back, which I was surprised by. I was like, I felt like you were way better with the bow, but I guess we're doing the sword now. All right. Talos is apparently still alive, even though all his fuel leaked out. I don't know how he's alive. So he just survived the sword being thrown through him. How was he even defeated then? I don't get it. There's a weird scene where a Hydra shows up and it gets all its heads chopped off, but then the heads just grow back. But then they chop off its heads again, and then it's dead. It's like, oh, okay, I guess you only had one respawn token. Whatever the hell's going on there. Yeah, the person who was basically Loki was Seraphim. Like, the snake's dripping poison into his eye, and I was like, this is literally Loki. Very interesting. A thing that I thought, that I kind of groaned and rolled my eyes at, was when Hades said, listen, unlike my sibling Seraphim, I've always tried to help you. I was like, oh, again? Again? Seraphim has heard this before, dude. Hera said this to him. Zeus said this to him. Now you're saying this to him. It just sounds ridiculous how many gods are like, no, Seraphim, I've always tried to help you. Even if it's true, it's like, come on, dude. It's been done to death now. So yeah, Seraphim has a love interest now. And there's a weird moment where he sees her soul in the underworld and he asks Hades what happened to her. And Hades like stops like he doesn't want to tell him. And he goes, come on, what happened to her? And Hades goes, oh, what does it matter? Why do you care? It's like Hades is like refusing to tell him. And so I'm like, oh, did Hades kill her in order to motivate him? Is Hades like behind her death or something? Well, no. it's revealed later that Sinis killed her. If you know Sinis, he's from Greek mythology. He's a guy who would grab travelers and rip them apart on trees, known as the tree bender sometimes. But, like, later, Seraphim just goes to Sinis and goes, I know exactly what you did. This woman came to you and solved your riddle, and you killed her anyway. And so I'm going to kill you for that. I'm like, wait, how do you know this? Did I miss a scene? When was it revealed that you know this? Did Hades tell you this? If he did, why didn't he just tell you right away? Why was he dodging the question? Like, what the hell was going on there? That was so strange. I don't understand why it was executed that way. It doesn't make any sense. It was really cool to see the Curites again. The warriors who guarded Zeus as a baby. I know that story. They would cover up his cries by, clashing their swords and shields together like they were practicing. It was so that Kronos would never hear Zeus's baby cries. Zeus had a lot of people protecting him, like with Rhea, Gaia, the golden dog, the goat Amalthea, and the Curites. So it was really cool to see the Curites again. And then I really love that Seraphim told them, my name is Nobody, so you can tell them that nobody has entered. And then they do. I'm like, okay, you're doing the Odysseus thing, and I love it. Though it doesn't really amount to anything. Heron... Now I have the hiccups. I have every problem now. Heron figures it out, like, right away. And yeah, when they go in, like... So there are some tests. There's supposed to be test of wisdom... or is it wisdom? I'm just going to say wisdom. Test of wisdom, test of bravery, and test of solving mysteries or something like that. So, like, Seraphim does the test of wisdom, and I like how it was done. It was like, we can change any moment in the past. He says, no, I know that this is the test because a wise person would know that they need to let go of the past. And then he moves on to the test of bravery. But Heron either didn't do the test of wisdom, or they just didn't feel the need to show it to us. Don't know what was up with that. Then they both have the test of bravery with the Sphinx, and the Sphinx seems kind of biased towards Heron, by the way. She goes way easier on him than she did on Seraphim. But then what about the untangling of mysteries thing? Was that just being in the labyrinth and finding a way through? Because they both just cheated. They didn't figure out the labyrinth. They just blasted their way through it. So what was that all about? Was that the untangling of mysteries? I thought there was going to be a third test when they reached the eagle, but there wasn't. So I don't know what that was all about. Again, there's a lot of stuff I don't... This is why I didn't give the show a higher score, because it's not like the story's fantastic. It's a little... There are parts of it that are just a little weird. I love that Hades' motivation is just that he wants to be with his wife. Like, he's sick of saying goodbye to her for half of every year. And yeah, they make Demeter like a very hateable person with how she treats Hades and how possessive she is of her daughter and how she poisons humanity and then lies about it. It's like, I feel like she's trying to turn her daughter against Hades, but, like, I don't know. It felt like they were setting that up and then it didn't go anywhere. Maybe it'll go somewhere in season 3. And, at the very end, when Heron, like... By the way, I did like how Heron, like, uses his father's power and tries to make the gods be more just. But when he says, like, Hades needs to go back to the underworld, and Hades just immediately stabs him for that. And you can tell Hades doesn't want to do it. He's got tears in his eyes, and he says, forgive me. It's like, I thought, Hades, can you just go tell Heron what was going on with you? Like, this isn't Zeus. This is a completely different person. Maybe you could at least pitch what you would like if you could just say, Heron, like, nephew, the reason I did what I did was because I, like, can't stand being in the underworld and I want to be with my wife. Like, maybe they could have worked something out. Like, what if they worked it out to, like, Hades goes with Persephone to the surface for 6 months every year and someone else takes over the underworld during that time? I think that would have been totally fair. But he just immediately goes, oh, hell no. Forgive me! No, I'm not forgiving you, you asshole! You just immediately resorted to stabbing me. So then, then it ends with Gaia being like, I've had enough of all of your bullshit. I worked hard on that Heron boy and you just killed him. I hate you. So we're going to summon the Typhon now and end the season right there. Season 3 is going to be Typhon time. I like how they said it like it was a huge reveal. I say the name we dare not speak. Typhon! And I'm like, yeah, I know who it is. No, but I get what they were going for, though. So, yeah. We still don't know who cut Heron's thread in the Fates chamber. And by the way, who the fuck can cut a thread in the Fates chamber and the Fates not know who it is? Like, this better be some incredibly powerful or mysterious character to be able to do something like that. To be able to slip one by the Fates, there's just no way. Also, the Han Solo character, who I'm just going to call the Han Solo character, like, left the group to go look for his former female companion. I'm guessing it's his love interest or whatever. But I'm sure that'll also be addressed in Season 3. But yeah, I think that's about all my thoughts on the show. You guys can tell me your thoughts on the show, and if you're excited for me to put out an inaccuracy video, what do you think's going to happen in Season 3? Were you on Hades' side, or were you mad at Hades by the end of it? Do you like Heron better or Seraphim better? I like Seraphim better. Yeah, I don't know how to end videos.